Okay, guys. Morning, Monday, or good afternoon. I'm doing the recap for today. Today was pretty tricky, actually. Talked with the inner circle guys a little bit about it, but um, I was up, I was down, I was back up again, I was back down again. So there's a couple lessons in here when it's choppy. It's usually a little bit trickier, especially when you're trying to follow the trends on the 1 minute, and then you get kind of trapped in between the 5 minute cycle, and then the 5 minute cycle kind of ribbons on you. So there's a couple lessons in here I'll go over. The Russell was much easier. So we've actually been fading it up here. Russell's back to the top of the range, big picture. But let's go over the micro. So you come in this morning. Russell was the easiest. So you sold off into pie. If you were just patient to let the real money come in, the buying come in, all you got to do is go with this real money candle. So ended up going long, added. I might have been in and out a couple times there. I added on first push up, took profits into the high. And then while I was busy with S&P and NASDAQ, there was an opportunity a couple times. I waited on these 5 minute cycles to get long again, a couple times. I think this one, I think this one. I don't know if I got that one, maybe this one. And always the first one or two pullbacks after a strong move like this is best, because sometimes in the day it'll kind of just fade back to the pie line. So the reason I took these secondary trades after making money here was because I needed a long, and there was a couple points where I got short either S&P or NASDAQ, so I was fine with being long, but I was pretty good about waiting on the 5 minute cycle. And the Algo bot was basically picking up the same thing on the cycles and the 1 minute and the 5 minute. So that was pretty simple. I'll come back to that on the executions on the other chart. So look at this sloppy mess in S&Ps. It was kind of the same yesterday. The thing that was interesting here today was Pi did an okay job there on S&P, but I didn't play that till later. And what I want to point out on the NASDAQ, Pi did a much better job. So there was some edge there to pay attention on the 5 minute cycles. And this one was key. I took that later in the day. I'll go over it. That was a pretty easy one. But the initial move up, I was long here. Can't remember if I got long S&P on the open, to go back and look. But then I caught this move down on NASDAQ initially. So what I was looking for, you see how there's a swing line on the 1 minute, I'll show in a second, but essentially breaking this low starts the 1 minute downtrend, and you can always see that by the 8. So I teach my guys, you look at the direction of the 8, that shows you the trend one time frame lower. So this is a 5 minute chart, that 8's down and the 1 minute goes this way. So I caught this NASDAQ down, which was good. And then I was up on the day, I think like 1,300 or 1,400 bucks. But then this is where it got tricky. There's a wall concept I teach. So the bears put in this wall on the open. And so it's tough for the bulls to knock down that wall. All that's selling as you come back up, the first move when you come back up, there's usually a good spot to sell about halfway. And usually you can fade that and you get a secondary drop. And that didn't happen. So you basically did 100% retrace, which one of my guys pointed out today is like, it looks like 100% retrace, and it was. So that's always the toughest move to trade, 100% retrace, even in the big picture. When you have a market that comes all the way back without giving you a secondary lower high, it's always just a little bit more difficult. But you did have setups. This is a bearish 180. This is essentially up here was bearish 180 reversal. So that helps you on the short side here, which I ended up catching a little bit of. And then there was this consolidation right in here around lunch, which was I traded a little bit in the minis because I don't like to get aggressive when you're right in the middle of the range and it was just chopping. But this was tough because I highlighted on the 1 minute chart to watch this break of this range, and we broke to the downside and I ended up shorting it. It was a fake out. And then it moved to a new high. So I'll show you how I played that. I'll show you how I played that going against me. But there was a stop here. There's a stop here. Well, into this move. It was kind of a stop. But this next move gave you another opportunity to get some back. So I was up, gave some back, up, gave some back. And this right in here I teach. So it's a little bit more clear on the 1 minute, which I'll get to in a second. But when you had this reversal back down right here, after a lower high in front of pi, this is I teach my guys a BCI, a bullish candle that's ignored, and it usually marks the middle of the move. So if you look at if you measure that, it's pretty much in the middle of the move. But inside of that first, before that formed, this is the move down, another wall concept. All right, halfway I was selling. So the market breaks, and then the bounce back up, I sold into that, and then you got the move down, and that happened right here. So it was, if you were to look inside the 1 minute, it's down, and then this bounce back up on the underside of that was a good spot. And then I added to it when we took out the BCI, I added, because once you do that, it's just showing you the bulls can't make, it made a puny little effort to bounce, and the bears took it right back down. You could short underneath that low, and then you got your push to take profit. And I took profit into the support. And then that was a pretty good trade. That made back the money that I gave back. So I wasn't real aggressive down here, but ended up going contrarian long on the minis and played, again, you're playing this wall. So now I have a big wall here, about halfway up that move, contrarian long. And then I played it, came out of my long, back up, and then ended up playing a short into this topping tail right into the bands, thinking that we would get maybe another move down. And this is what I mean. Today was just choppy. You didn't get the follow through there. Had to work a position back towards pi, and then I think I stopped on my NASDAQ. See on the 1 minute, but then I wanted to sell into pi here, so I took another shot short, and I just played that move quickly into the bottom of the pi cycle, and then I was pretty much done right there. So this was a nice short too. And the reason being is because one, pi is a great edge. But all the bulls that were trapped right here, thinking this was a long back up, that's resistance. It's right in line with pi. So once that tailed, I shorted that. So pretty precise. Is just kind of had to pull out a lot of tools out of the toolbox today. S&P is not a lot directionally there. It was more keying off of the NASDAQ edges. It's just a little bit more clear. But I'll show you how I played a couple of those moves also on the other chart. So let's bring up the 1 minute fast. Get all the way back. I'll come back to this and highlight. I wanted to highlight this here that I just went over. So I screenshot some of this. The Algo service, guys, is still running. I had a couple questions. People asked about it. It's $250, but it includes the CycleEdge Pro and the CycleEdge Crypto, which is the real-time analysis and signals product. And that has always been a monthly service, $100 a month. And the Algo is one price, lifetime price. So you don't have to pay for the Algo, which includes the CycleEdge Crypto. So you're basically getting the $1,200 like CycleEdge product with CycleEdge Pro service. It's $100 a month, costs you $1,200 for the year. Some guys sign up for the annual, which is 50% off. I gave that away for $600, but this Algo product, I'm including the crypto. So it's just $250. And you don't have to worry about paying anything else. Just one time deal. So that's pretty good value. That's not what I wanted to bring up. So the Algo bot, just to highlight it, the 1 minute and the 5 minute did a pretty good job. So here's NASDAQ again. So there's the open. I made money here, which it didn't really have, but one of the trend following indicators I have on here kind of basically helps you with knowing that the trend's down there. That's why it flips. But this is the short I was talking about. That's a classic sell setup in the model, swing line sell setup. I shorted that and I ended up stopping, which is where the bot did also. This was the fake out. There's some other scalps in here that the model did a pretty good job on. And this is where I was talking about upselling the underside of the break, and it pretty much nailed that. And then it's got out of the way of this uptrend the rest of the day. And here's pi. So this is your edges there, and this was pi here that I talked about. All right, so let's look a little bit more in depth on some of this. So here's NASDAQ off the open. All right, short, covered. I reshorted a little bit of a pop back up this candle. So it was down, came back up, sold more, cover. So that was a good push off the bat. And then you can see on the bounce, this is where I sold again, and this is where I stopped. All right. And again, this is the fake out, stopped. But then I waited because you don't know if this 1 minute pushes, it could push all the way back to the highs into new highs. So you gotta kind of wait for the cycle to play out. And then it played out. I'll show you how I played this turn. I think I was a little bit long S&P and maybe the minis to kind of help with that, dragging this back. Oh, and plus I was playing the Russell long. So I had some longs on to sit through that, but I didn't, like my stop was pretty clear. It was above these highs. Like that was where the risk was. So I knew how to work. That's the beauty of pairs trading. With your day trading, swing trading, core positions, if you just have one side of the market on, you're always stopping, reversing. It's a little bit, you can smooth that out when you play both sides. So this was where the risk was, but you can see I wasn't afraid once that low broke, get back in. All right, covered. And then here was that pop that I sold into, that the 1 minute was down, back up. And then it took out the low and I sold that again. All right, and then cover into support, cover into new lows. That's that. What else do I have for you? So that's kind of the initial. Here's the Russell off the bat, right? Long. I added to it, took profit. There's some more to be had, but I think I'll show you on the S&P. I ended up getting long S&P, so I didn't want to get too greedy on the Russell. But then this is the 5 minute cycle I talked about, bought that, came out with the cycle, bought that, came out with the cycle. That's all I did on the Russell. That helped a lot to get back to up on the day. Here's S&P. So again, I'm playing the Russell mostly up. Took a hedge while I was making money on the Russell. S&P wasn't as strong, came down, so I took the hedge off and booked some gains on the Russell. So that was kind of, I was up on both. Didn't really need the hedge anymore. Then this is where when I went back short NASDAQ here, this is where I protected that short a little bit, and I ended up buying the highs in the S&P. All right, but I made a little bit of money on that. I think that was during this push. Yeah, during that push. But when I stopped, I was a little bit long, so I didn't want to stay with that. And I think I was back long the Russell at that point. So I had upside, didn't really need this because I had just cut the risk on that. But that was helping me manage my risk there. And then, but based on this trade, I ended up giving back my gains on the day, even though I was still up on the Russell. NASDAQ was down. So I had more work to do. We traded down here. Bounced. I think I was playing the minis a little bit, so I ended up. We came off down here, and I guess I took a long off of pie. Didn't stay with it very long. And then here, when I'm dragging my short, remember the fake out? This is buying S&P, and then that, or I was long that, and that helped on that move up. All right, so then I took that. Let me see if I have minis. I think I might have a mini. It's NASDAQ again. What was I going to show here? Oh, this is the minis at the end. Oh, this is the contrarian move. So when this really helped kind of get back up on the day, that whole play. And so then I was contrarian long the minis on the bounce here. So made a little bit there. And then this is where okay. So when we started to bounce back up, let me go back to the old chart. So as we're bouncing back up on NASDAQ up in here. So I played this break, right? But this bounce after this drop, this bounce was pretty good to short. So that's where I had that. And then I added to it on the break of the BCI in the 5-minute, right? So then I played this contrarian long. And then I was up pretty good. I was up. So I was up, down, back up. So I didn't want to be aggressively fading this, but I did try to sell it on the minis. Back into, there was some edge here to be short, because again, I was thinking this might come back down. So I played it with the minis, which is a smart way to risk manage. Like, I just had a good trade on NASDAQ. Why do I need to fight full contracts again? So if I wanted to fade it to see if there was another move down, I just did it on the minis. It's something that, as you guys progress, that's important to keep in mind. So that's what that was. Oh, and this is good. And so in here, now I'm fading it, right? 3 contracts, minis. No big deal. But I was waiting to see if we got the pie. I was going to try the NASDAQ short. And so I was okay, maybe just dragging this a little bit, give some back, and then boom, short, right into pie, topping tail. And this was enough of a push down, covered that. And then you could see I was making money on the NASDAQ. So I bought long here. And then I just came out of it. And that was the end of that. I hope that helps. I don't know if there's anything else to say there. S&P, not really. You can see here I bought S&P too late. Just because I was dragging, I think, that mini a little bit. So I was like, well, I'll play a long, and then if we get into pie, I came out of that same time I shorted NASDAQ. So anyway, it was a lot of work. It's not usually more difficult. I don't like to have to trade all day. Usually after the morning, I probably could have been done after this. I thought that was a pretty good edge to short. And then this was that was trouble. So this and this was trouble. So I stuck around for this move, which was pretty good. All right, guys, if you enjoy this, you want to learn how to join us. I know there's a lot of new people coming in the Discord and on the YouTube channel and some other emails that we've been sending out. So just go to CycleEdgeCapital.com, come to services. This is kind of what we're focused on, the algo piece right now. And this is what I highlighted. So you can connect these to the broker once you get going and familiar with it. But all these are going to be subscription services. So because it's new and we're just getting going, I want to give people early access to it. So don't, it's just $249. That's it, guys. Don't complicate it. No monthly, no yearly cost. One time, $250, lifetime. Jump all over that because it does include CycleEdge Pro, which that's $600 for the year. So kind of a no-brainer. And you get the crypto and the CycleEdge Pro. And so those are more the swing trades, global macro positioning. Those are cross asset classes. So like today, we sold copper. We've had some great trades on that. Came out of the Swissy long. Wasn't much to do in metals, but we're covering it all. So FX, dollar positions, it's all connected, macro. All right. Hope that helps. And back at it with the team, the Inner Circle guys in the morning.